All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration. It really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else, and what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Chris Freeman. Chris, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, sir. I'm so happy to be here. Like, I'm lucky.
Get out of here. It's an honor to have you on the show, my friend. There's so many people in anticipation for this episode, really just to dive into who you are as a man, as a professional, really get to know you a little deeper. So let's just jump in if you're cool with that.
I'm good. Let's do it.
So I guess let's just start off with telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
So I was born in Colorado Springs. I was actually born in Penrose Hospital. Way back in the day when there was no cell phones or internet, okay?
Showing his age, everybody, a little bit. This is great.
I've lived here all my life. My mom lives in town. My father lives in Northern California.
Okay.
I've visited, but I always call Colorado Springs my home.
Wow.
So,
Love it.
and now that we're in real estate forever, you got to stay forever. So.
Well, and that brings a really good point. Obviously, being a native and knowing the markets and the different neighborhoods and obviously having a lot of great reputation in the town, what was it that got you into the business in the first place, Chris? And what was your progression in your career to where you are now?
So at first I started in the service industry. So
Okay.
I was waiting tables.
Yeah.
And I met Don White. And
Wow.
Don White and Rhonda McDonald came into my restaurant. And Don instantly saw me, was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And she convinced me to sell new homes with Creekstone Homes.
Unreal.
So I was on board. And then ever since I went and did that, I just have the bug. I'm addicted to this. So I love it.
That's awesome, and it's amazing to me that this is such a big small town, and there's so many wonderful professionals. You had mentioned Don, so shout out to Don if you're watching. But it's incredible to me how many stories start with somebody who sees something in you,
Yeah.
right? And I think that that's passed on through professional to professional. If you haven't already, Chris, I'm sure that there's people that in your life that you see, and hey, did you think about real estate? There's just a spark. There's something that you see. So.
More than 5 people come to mind. So.
That's huge.
Yeah.
This is great. So it's a way to give back, and I think that's a really amazing story. So once you got in, what was your progression through Creekstone and then all the way to where you're at now?
So I did Creekstone for a short time, and then I really, really wanted to do resale. So I started going to school, got licensed, and came over to Keller Williams as soon as I started.
Wow.
And I've never looked back. It's been the most fun. It's a great career or job to have. I tell you, if you can talk to people and make a friend out of someone in under 2 minutes, then you should do real estate.
Wow. Big advice, everybody here. So if you're not in real estate, contact Chris. He knows a few things. But let's go into, I guess, what's a really important question into continuing why you do what you do. I mean, Chris, what gets you excited? What gets you out of bed in the morning to do what you do as long as you've done it to the level you do it at?
So Alexa gets me out of bed every day.
Okay, hey Alexa. That's great.
But
it's not Surrey. I mean, come on, what's going on?
The fear of getting my daughter to not getting her to school in time. I'm the parent that gets her up every single morning and gets her off to school. So I just noticed that if I get in early, I produce a lot more. In my first couple of years, I was showing up at 10 a.m. and leaving by 3, and you can see the difference when you come in at 8, 7:30 every morning.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously talking about a big portion of, family, right? And that's a big driver for so many professionals that are out there. And I know that there's some people that hear, family and children, it's cliche. But I don't find it to be a higher why, truly, And so that I love that you're sharing that with everybody out here. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, when I first started, I was all about career. And now that I've transitioned a little bit, I'm moving more towards, hey, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to have the freedom to be able to do so.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's to me, and it's echoed through this series with a few different titans that have been out there, is your why does change, and it adjusts through your life, just like your thought process does and your knowledge. So I think that's a great takeaway for everybody is, find a why, find a driver, but just know that it's okay for it to change and adjust as long as it's propelling you in the right direction. So let's go into the advisory portion of this particular interview. And there's so many viewers of this series that absolutely love to know what the Titans are doing to scale their business, how they're growing. So Chris, if you could look back at your career thus far, pick or choose one or two things that you added to your business that took it from one level to the next. What's that look like for you?
When I very first started, I started on a team.
Okay.
And what it did is I got more transactions in my first year than realtors get in their first 5 years.
Wow.
And so it just kind of got me hooked on real estate.
Okay.
And hooked on systems, making it so I could forecast how many transactions we would do. So I would know exactly how many leads it would take to get as many appointments as I need. And the thing that really changed my career is I was by myself. I was working probably 50 hours every single week.
Oh, wow.
And my boss told me to go hire an assistant. And when I did, I was so scared to employ another person.
Okay, this is great.
Scared.
This is great.
It was not fun for me. I made a lot of mistakes, but hiring someone to leverage my time was a game changer.
Wow.
It took me to the next level. And then
Okay.
since then, now I'm not afraid to hire someone. Now I, want a small family around me at all times. But at first, it was just, I was overwhelmed and I was like, I gotta find a better way. I gotta free myself up.
Wow. And I love the fact that you're, honest enough to share with everybody that it's scary, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're taking another step in your career. You're an employer, right? You're really going to that step. And what was it like for you? I mean, I know you said that you were nervous and a little bit fearful, but I mean, what was that time in your life when you did it, and then afterwards, what does that look like a little bit? So that it advises everybody who's thinking about that.
I was a bachelor with no children.
Okay.
I lived with roommates, and my roommates stayed up till wee hours of the morning every day.
Wow.
And I wanted to find a better way. At first, I would just come to work every day, try to soak up as much knowledge as I could, attend every class that I could.
Love it.
But after a while, I was really busy, and I just was getting no alone time, no time to myself. Weekends were gone, evenings were gone.
Wow.
So I wanted to free myself up. When I got an assistant, now it's changed my life forever. I actually will never go without an assistant ever again.
Wow, Chris, but this is big advice
Yeah.
for everybody listening to it. I hope you guys are writing this down and really taking this to heart. If you're thinking about it, do it. It's really important to scale your business, to free up your time. I think that's the most important thing. And as you were saying, your weekends are gone and things are like that. Your quality of life is dropping. And what's the point of hitting huge numbers and working your tail off if you're not enjoying your life along the way?
Yeah, and realtors, we're used a lot. Everybody wants our time, and everybody wants our time when they're off of work.
Correct.
So, I mean, I would love to take every single Saturday and Sunday off. That is a dream of mine, and I am trying to make it happen.
It'll be there someday, my
Yes,
friend.
sir.
I know
Yes,
it for a
sir.
fact. So great advice. Hopefully, again, everybody took notes on that. That's really, really big stuff. Reach out to Chris. You have any questions on that? I think that's really important for that engagement side here. So, Chris, this is the tricky part of this particular interview.
Okay.
It is the challenge question. I think it's really important for everybody to get a deeper dive into who you are as a person, to really get to know you. So if you could look back at your life and pick a challenge that you had overcome or dealt with, that you became stronger because of it, what's that look like for you?
So, my mom was a single mom,
Okay.
and she was a very hard worker, and she's one of the biggest heroes I have.
Wow.
But when I was a kid, I had a rough childhood and I was not listening to her. I was a teenager that knew everything.
Wow.
So she asked me to leave the house at age 15, and I didn't know what to do. And I was literally homeless for about 2-3 months.
Oh, no,
And then something snapped in my brain, and it was like, you have to do for yourself. You are not entitled to anything. Go out there and get it. And so I would work 2 part-time jobs, got my first apartment at age 16.
Okay.
And ever since then, I've been on my own. I've never gone back home. I
Wow.
never borrow money from my parents. In fact, I hope they never borrow money from me.
Oh, there you go. That's right. But if they needed it, right? I mean, it's
yes,
family.
definitely. But I mean, it just, I needed to get rock bottom before I could climb out.
Sure.
And now that I've been climbing out, now I see the good life and what's possible, and I just want to keep that going. I just want to, own 5 houses,
Right.
keep it going and keep it going. So.
Well, Chris, I mean, first of all, thanks for sharing, that, because it's not easy to
Yeah, I
carry
don't tell a
stuff
lot
out.
of people that.
I know, so out to the thousands of people that are now broadcasted this way, but it's something for people to take away is truly feeling that rock bottom. And I know there's a lot of people that are watching this particular episode that they feel that pain and that struggle. Maybe they're watching it and they are at rock bottom right now. So I guess to take the advice of what I get is, it's okay, just keep moving forward, keep
Yes.
pressing on, and look at the success that you've had
It's
in your
more
life.
about your drive than it is about your talent. So if you have enough drive, then you'll make it. It isn't about the talent. Everything can be taught to you in this business, but if you have the tenacity to show up to work every single day and work hard, then it will happen for you. So.
Wow, huge stuff in here. Chris, thanks for sharing that. And again, hopefully everybody appreciated that. I know I did. Let's go a little softer,
Okay.
Clear the air a little bit onto that. So this is actually one of my favorite questions. If you could travel back in time and give young Chris a piece of advice or two, what would you say to your younger self?
I would go all the way back to when I was a teenager,
Okay.
and I would tell myself to listen to my parents
Wow.
and set my life up better. So get a car, start building good credit when you turn 18,
Right.
go to college, do this and that.
Sure.
That would just set yourself up for a better situation as life progresses. It's really hard to dig out. If you never have to, it's a good thing.
Right.
So I would just go back and tell my teenage self that I was not being a good kid and I was
Okay.
not being smart, and just listen to your parents.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice, Chris. And again, that's not just for your younger self, but for everybody's watching. And I know we can all go back and say, hey, we could have been better kids or more obedient, hit different goals and things along those lines. I think that's really good advice for everybody to take is try to set yourself up the best way you possibly can.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in situations that are unnecessary to make it harder on yourself in the future.
Yes.
There's so many amazingly successful people that have came from terrible situations and terrible upbringings, truly from the bottom and risen to the top. That motivated them, that drove them. And equally, there's extremely well-to-do professionals that are kind of set there, and they squander that away without opportunity. So I think that you just have to realize what you have and work with what you got and do the best you can.
Yeah, definitely.
So I love that. I think that's fantastic.
Sometimes people get lucky, but if you try hard enough, you will get what you want. So.
Huge. Talent is overrated. I'll say that, and I echo that all day long. So let's go into the advisory portion of this when it comes to feeding in the mind. This is another crowd pleaser. A lot of professionals that watch this series, they also want to know what the Titans are feeding their minds, how they're growing professionally. So I always ask, kind of what books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, or influencers on social media, coaches. Chris, how are you feeding your mind?
So I went through coaching for about 3 years,
Okay.
and then I stopped doing it because I was getting a little bit comfortable. And now I'm hooked on the stock market. Like,
Okay.
I love stocks. I love trading options. I love doing all that stuff. So I find myself reading like articles about different companies, what's happening now, what's going on, stuff like that. Big picture economy stuff.
Love it.
I love it. So.
I think that that's really, really unique into this because, when I throw out the books, podcasts, YouTubers, whatever the case may be, I think that everybody has their bits and pieces. The goal of that is to really show everybody that there's so many different ways to consume information. And a lot of the times, when you're really getting outside of your element, that's when your mind grows more so. So
Yeah.
It shouldn't just all be motivational or all real estate related. Like you said, you're looking at financials and stocks and big picture companies. That makes you a broader professional, more in the know.
I think it helps me see stuff coming too. So.
Well said.
Yeah, so like they're talking about stuff that's going to happen half a year from now, 9 months from now. So I know about gas prices going under $2 a gallon way before everybody because the price of a gallon or a barrel of oil went below where $2 a gallon would be.
Wow.
So I can see it coming, but
Sure.
I just dig it. It's fun. It's legal gambling, but it's really, really fun.
I
Don't
love
do
that.
it with money that you are not willing to lose.
Good man. I love that, Chris. So that's good advice. So, truly full service real estate professional, he can give you stock options as well as finding the great home or helping you list it. So that's great, Chris. This has been chock full of amazing information, so many takeaways, really diving deep into you as a man, as a professional. Chris, this has been great stuff.
I promised myself I would reveal the stuff. So
This is it, everybody, if you want to know. This is live and this is Chris. So at the end of all this, I want to wrap it up with a final question. And it ends up being the mantra or quote question. If you could sum up yourself as a man, as a brand or a professional with a quote or a mantra that you live by, what's that look like for you?
if I can do it, you can do it. So I don't think that I'm anything special. I just think that I'm willing to try hard. I'm willing to come to work every day, and I know that if you want it bad enough, you can have it. So my boss has taught me really, really good stuff, and he's just like, how bad do you want it? If you want it, go get it. And I'm like, okay, all right, how do I go get it? Okay, do step 1 through 4. And it's, if you want it, you can get it. And if anyone can make it, if I can make it, anyone can make it.
Wow, Chris. I mean, I love that. I think it sums you up beautifully with your reputation in the marketplace and what you do as a professional. That really speaks volumes out there. The humility out of that is so huge, and I love that aspect. I mean, it's great. So again, Chris, you're fantastic. I'm honored to have you. You're an official real estate titan, my friend.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
This is great. So everybody, thanks again so much for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, please subscribe to the podcast. Take a look at our YouTube channel. Throw us a like on the Facebook page. As always, live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. And we are almost